here up top. Okay, you got the Jackie Youngs, the Kelsey Mitchells. That's the Louis Vuitton store. We're replacing Kelsey. We're not replacing it with another Louis V item. Okay, we're not going quite to the bottom.
If the Indiana front office pulls this trigger, the curtains fall. Their championship aspirations will vanish instantly. A lethal financial delusion currently paralyzes the league's following. Casual observers watch this roster and beg for sentimental stability. They scream for management to recklessly hand Kelsey Mitchell a ruinous $1,400,000 payout. They stare at her inflated 20 points per night and foolishly deem her statistically untouchable. In their minds, letting her test the market is the equivalent of organizational harakiri. But you are certainly no bystander swallowed by manufactured media hype. You are a cold-blooded, high-stakes strategist operating at the highest level. You grasp the chilling, merciless logic of salary cap space and boardroom leverage. You realize that in this hyper-competitive era, paying a premium for waste is a death sentence. One never sinks 20% of the budget into a ball-stopping, rhythm-killing isolation specialist. Returning once more to WNBA Pro, we are stripping away the glossy public relations filters to expose the raw data. Seal the exits now. Silence every distraction and focus with surgical precision. We are executing the ultimate off-season heist. Today, we mathematically dismantle the myth of Mitchell's necessity for Indiana's future. We are in motion. We are running a multi-million-dollar arbitrage play to construct a lethal, cohesive unit around the franchise cornerstone. Let us establish the harsh fiscal landscape of this current free agency cycle. The latest labor agreement has detonated the team budget to a staggering $7 million. The ceiling for a premier deal is now locked at exactly $1,400,000. Kelsey Mitchell is hunting for that exact maximum payday as a free agent. Should the general manager sign that check, the organizational fallout will be immediate and total. There are paths forward. We can stack 2 or 3 high-value assets to fill her void. She expects $1,400,000. Heed this specific financial red flag. Allow that grim fiscal truth to ground your entire strategic analysis right now. By paying her, you guarantee the total collapse of your wing defensive rotation. You will lack the liquid capital to keep elite, selfless glue players like Lexi Hull. You effectively bankrupt the fund for a gritty, emotional leader like Sophie Cunningham. You are opting for a brittle, top-heavy squad that will shatter during a grueling 52-game stretch. To forge a lasting dynasty, one must divorce all feelings from the ledger. You do not swap 20 points per game for a single, bank-breaking individual. You replicate that scoring through a streamlined, highly diversified collection of efficient workers. This is the art of weaponizing aggregate productivity. The average fan hasn't the slightest clue how to navigate the free agency market. The stars at the top, the Jackie Youngs and Kelsey Mitchells, represent the luxury boutiques. We are not replacing Mitchell with another designer label item. Yet, we are not rummaging through the bargain bin either. Consider the genius of this retail metaphor. Losing a max-tier asset doesn't mandate buying another one. You don't just wander into the high-end shop and blow $1,400,000 on Jackie Young. You don't hand out max contracts to fading stars just to satisfy the internet's whims. Conversely, you do not hunt for scraps among unplayable, minimum-wage rookies. Success requires surgical shopping within the league's undervalued middle-tier economy. Let us audit the current stock, starting with the elite possibilities. We must evaluate battle-tested, two-way forces like Ariel Atkins and Gabby Williams. Atkins is a lethal long-range threat and a proven championship-caliber starter. Williams stands as a chaotic, flexible defensive terror, seasoned by years of high-stakes global competition. Such premier talents serve as vital organizational building blocks, instantly hardening the interior resistance of any squad. Star performers will never accept basement-level paychecks, merely to suit up for the Indianapolis squad. These athletes intend to hunt for significant upper-tier contracts while navigating the cutthroat open market. The accountants estimate a total of $750,000 to land a single marquee name. Focusing recruitment on this luxury bracket yields immense quality but drastically reduces the total roster size. Management could realistically hire Ariel Atkins plus a reserve for the exact price of Kelsey Mitchell. This move represents a massive defensive evolution, yet fails to address the depth concerns of the calendar. Maximizing the Caitlin Clark phenomenon requires a deep dive into the ranks of high-value mid-tier professionals. The team must pinpoint specific specialists whose physical attributes perfectly match the requirements of an up-tempo system. This investigation points straight to the crown jewel of the 2026 free agent pool. The expected cost likely drops by roughly 50% based on these current projections. A player like Bridget Carleton falls comfortably within the $600,000 territory. Carleton likely signs for $550,000 to $600,000. Securing her talent provides an immense fiscal advantage that becomes evident when reviewing the calculated projections for the upcoming season. Strategists should examine Carleton's specific on-court chemistry when paired with the franchise's primary leader. She functions as a versatile, intelligent two-way wing who possesses impressive physical stature for her role. During the previous campaign, she operated under a heavily restricted deal worth exactly $125,000. The shooter knows exactly how to flourish while working in the wake of high-usage offensive superstars. Within the Minnesota system, she deferred gracefully to ball-dominant scorers like Nafisa Collier and Caleb McBride. Her presence does not require high usage to fundamentally shift the spacing on the hardwood. The woman represents the quintessential outside threat, ready to strike the moment the ball is kicked out. As Caitlin Clark tears through the defense, Carleton will be lurking in the corner to finish the play. She will reliably bury those uncontested, high-percentage triples created by the leader's magnetic gravity, while offering the perimeter grit that Mitchell simply cannot match. Market analytics suggest this synergistic piece can be locked down for approximately $600,000. The front office gains a flawless tactical component while simultaneously preserving $800,000 in budget space. However, the plan to raid the talent market is far from reaching its conclusion. That newly discovered financial surplus must be funneled into fortifying the team's fast break capabilities. The roster requires an injection of raw, blistering velocity to bolster the perimeter rotation. Management seeks a human lightning bolt who can torch opponents during every open-court sprint. This pursuit leads to a volatile, explosive, restricted talent currently restricted by the Los Angeles franchise. Observers should focus on the massive, hidden athletic ceiling possessed by the young Ray Burrell. She is a lanky, high-velocity wing who finds her rhythm during chaotic, end-to-end sequences. Her past performance metrics appear scattered and inconsistent, which serves the strategy well by keeping her price suppressed. Her perceived value across the league remains artificially lower than her actual physical potential. She was stuck in a disorganized Los Angeles Sparks system that lacked an elite floor general. If Indiana moves forward with a bold, calculated contract offer, Los Angeles might decline to match. Combining Burrell's raw track speed with the most gifted transition passer ever seen will cause her production to surge. She is not tasked with shot creation. She simply must sprint and secure those full-court aerial strikes. The front office can secure this high-ceiling athlete for a tiny fraction of the remaining salary cap. The squad has successfully added a premier long-range sniper and a transition-oriented speedster. Despite these moves, the organizational war chest is far from being depleted. Sufficient liquidity remains to target a disruptive interior presence capable of running the floor effectively. The organization needs a bruising, agile forward capable of hammering home points during fast breaks. A prime candidate for this role is the explosive young prospect known as Letitia Amahire. Or, if the management demands an immediate, the front office prioritizes a relentless pursuit of Temi Fagbenlay, aiming to bring her seasoned skills back to the Indianapolis rotation. She has already mastered the lightning-fast rhythm required to thrive alongside Caitlin Clark, offering explosive energy and locking down the boards from the second unit. Financial projections show that either Amaher or Fagbenle could be secured on team-friendly terms using the remaining cap space. This pivot reveals the sheer brilliance hidden within a high-stakes executive masterstroke. Imagine a roster featuring Ariel Atkins alongside Bridget Carleton, or perhaps Carleton paired with Ray Burrell and Temi Fagbenle. It is a 3-for-1 trade-off against the massive salary of Kelsey Mitchell. The Indiana Fever are forced to weigh these options, as this represents the exact evolution the franchise requires. One must truly contemplate the cold, calculated economic force behind such a transformative corporate play. This represents the absolute peak of cutthroat professional sports management in the modern era. A championship framework demands this level of logic, flatly refusing to dump $1,400,000 into isolation-heavy basketball. Management decides to scrub that bloated, low-efficiency contract entirely from their financial ledgers. Instead, they pivot to secure the trio of Bridget Carleton, Ray Burrell, and Temi Fagbenle for that same total investment. They exchange a single, flawed superstar for 3 specialized high-tempo assets who buy into the system. Through one sharp boardroom maneuver, the entire perimeter defense undergoes a total metamorphosis. This move instantly fortifies the bench, providing the endurance needed to survive a brutal 52-game campaign. It purges the selfish playstyles that currently clog the team's primary scoring engine. This mathematical discipline ensures there is enough capital left to keep Lexi Hull and Sophie Cunningham in the fold. The strategy perfectly encircles Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston with 5 high-impact players who share their championship timeline. This is the hallmark of a premier general manager dominating the current landscape of professional basketball. True leaders refuse to blink when the press clamors for overpriced, max-level contracts. They sidestep the multi-million-dollar traps set by competing franchises in the free agency market. They ignore the seductive lure of veteran names like Azura Stevens or Kayla McBride, who carry massive price tags. Should the Fever leadership wander into those expensive aisles, they will merely repeat their past financial blunders. They would just trade the Kelsey Mitchell salary cap anchor for a fresh set of economic chains. This single offseason represents the ultimate test of the front office's professional intelligence. A choice looms that is both icy and difficult. They must prepare to part ways with a fan favorite through a detached, analytical boardroom decree. By blocking out the digital noise and social media fury, they can finalize this 3-for-1 roster arbitrage. A flawless execution of this plan would effectively end all competition within the Eastern Conference. Neither New York nor Connecticut could match the relentless pace and overwhelming depth of this new Indiana squad. Finally, Caitlin Clark would have the selfless, high-functioning environment she needs to take over the world. However, if the Indiana leadership folds under the emotional weight of public opinion, if they lose their nerve, and hand Kelsey Mitchell $1,400,000, they effectively kill their title hopes before they even begin. Such a mistake locks them into a thin, worn-out roster destined for a postseason meltdown. It would be a catastrophic waste of a once-in-a-generation talent's most valuable years. The clock is ticking loudly within the executive offices as millions of dollars hang in the balance. Expansion groups in Portland and Toronto are watching every move, waiting for a single misstep. There is no longer any room for error. The margin has vanished. This is the brutal reality of the new economic landscape in women's professional basketball. Thanks for tuning in to WNBA Pro, where we peel back the curtain on the harsh realities of the global sports industry. We skip the corporate fluff and refuse to parrot the safe narratives pushed by the league. Our focus remains entirely on the cold, hard numbers that define success and failure. For those seeking the most piercing and honest analysis on the web, stay tuned. Hit that subscribe button now to join an elite circle of truly informed basketball minds. He urges the audience to unleash a torrent of likes, forcing this explosive corporate exposé into the digital hive mind. He invites the most ruthless, unvarnished critiques of this brilliant executive chess move in the discussion block down below. Speculation swirls around whether Indiana's front office harbors the cold-blooded resolve to watch Kelsey Mitchell vanish into free agency. Observers wonder if they can flawlessly mirror the Carlton and Burrell financial shell game. One must imagine the sheer devastation of Caitlin Clark's fast break assault once flanked by elite, selfless offensive weapons. He calls for the sharpest, data-driven forecasts available. The analyst promises a return for the next high-stakes corporate autopsy. Total vigilance is required as the corporate insurgency ignites, leaving the mathematically illiterate to face a grim fate, swallowed completely by the dust.